Welcome to the Under 8 Podcast, a daily college basketball show brought to you every weekday in under 8 minutes at the time of recording. It is Tuesday, November 7th at 11:33 p.m. My name is Josh Mullenix. On today's pod, a high major matchup in Sioux Falls. A Big Ten team gets tested at home, and Bill Self, well, he's seeing dollar signs. It's all right here, right now on the Under 8 Podcast. Josh Doering is here with me. Josh, we just saw easily the best college basketball game of the year thus far. We're only 48 hours in, but Baylor 88, Auburn 82, easily the highest level game we've seen thus far.
And you had two freshmen who very much stole the show, starting with Jacoby Walter. This is all I'm going to say about Jacoby Walter. I'm already more convinced than I ever was about Keontae George. And Keontae George had a really good year. Jacoby Walter.
And that's a guy you picked first team All-America preseason.
Yeah. Jacoby Walter is on another level. That just looked so easy. And the other part of this is it's amazing what happens when you take care of the basketball. This Baylor team is really talented. They took care of the basketball in the second half, and what do you know? They came back and they got the 88-82 win.
The thing that impresses me so much with Jacoby Walter is it usually guys with his athleticism, his length, his ability to get to the front of the rim, not very many of them come to college basketball with the shooting ability that he has. Whether it's, everyone saw the contested three late in the shot clock, early in the game, he's running off screens, setting his feet quick and getting off shots off the catch as well. That was super impressive from him. And Baylor needed it, right? It was a lot of Jacoby Walter and not a lot of anything else. Ray J. Dennis really struggled in his first game for the majority of the game, was much better down the stretch, which I think is worth noting. But he had 7 turnovers in the first half, was in foul trouble. So it really was Walter that put Baylor in a position to have the second half that they did and come back against Auburn.
Yeah, there were flashbacks to last season in that first half of just not having the point guard play.
Right.
But then Ray J. Dennis cleaned it up. On the Auburn side, the other thing I want to mention real quickly, obviously you wanted to get the win, but what Aiden Holloway did, what Dylan Cardwell did, and the fact that they shot the ball so well from three. That was a team that did not do that well last year. You bring in Denver Jones, you bring in Aiden Holloway. I'm still very high on this Auburn team. There's nothing to be worried about here, and there's a lot of potential for growth, particularly because they're going to shoot the ball better this year with some of their additions.
Absolutely. 309th in 3-point field goal percentage last year. That should stay in the past with Denver Jones, with Aiden Holloway. Those two guys alone should get you halfway to number one by themselves. And you'll have some guys knock down shots as well. In the Big Ten, Josh, an IU team that is embarking on the journey post Trace Jackson Davis got all it could handle from Florida Gulf Coast at Simon Scott Assembly Hall, 69-63, and FGCU was in control of this game deep into it.
Yeah, I mean, they were up 48-42 with just under 11 minutes left, and then had 50 points with under 4 minutes left. It just fell apart offensively, and despite that, they still had 2 3-pointers that had they gone in, one of them would have cut the game to 1. I believe the other one would have tied it, if I remember correctly. They would have been right back in the game had they hit one of those threes, even with this terrible offensive stretch they had, which concerning if you're IU. And the other thing I came away thinking in this game, your 2 bigs were really, really good. And Xavier Johnson, Trey Galloway, from an efficiency and a points production standpoint, also very good. But Khalil Ware led your team with 4 assists, and even as good as your guards were, you didn't get to 70 points. That's going to be my big question at this point for IU is, can you replace the production and just threat that you had in Jalen Hood-Schifino, because I'm worried about the guards.
Two things jump out to me. It felt like Khalil Ware and Malik Renew were just kind of in each other's way a lot. If one guy had the ball, the other guy didn't really know where to go and just needed to get out of the way. The other thing, Mackenzie Mbako exited this game with 15 and a half minutes left in the second half and didn't see the court again. It was Gabe Cupps, who was the fifth guy on the floor alongside Xavier Johnson, Trey Galloway, and then the two front court guys. One, Mike Woodson doesn't care how many stars are next to your name. That was clearly the best lineup to close here, to get out to some of the shooters, because IU's perimeter defense was not strong for a lot of this game.
And Gabe Cupps helped with that.
And Gabe Cupps absolutely helped with that, hit a big three. I'll be curious to see how Mbako kind of fits in here, because I'm not sure he's a 3 at the college level. I'm also not sure he's the best option right now at the 4 for Indiana. I think Malik Renew is probably that guy as of right now. So in games like that, I think I wouldn't be surprised if this is not the last time that we see that happen for Mbako, at least early in the season. Last but not least on the docket this evening, we have a new king of the highest paid coach in college basketball, one Bill Moneybags Self, an amended lifetime contract, whatever the heck that means. $13 million in compensation for the 2023-24 season, Josh, and $53 million over the next 5 years. For comparison, the former king from Lexington, John Calipari, making $44 million over the next 5 years, to give you an idea. But a big bag for Bill Self, and it's hard to argue with the production over the last 10 years or so in the Jayhawks program.
Yeah, if you take away the NCAA stuff, which at this point there's just no need to harp on, because, well, they more or less got away with it, and they clearly weren't going to punish Bill Self for it. So they aren't worried about that. Is there somebody who should be paid more? I think this is a really interesting question, because you could say maybe Mark Few.
That was one of the names that came to mind first. Yep.
But also Mark Few hasn't won a national championship.
Nope.
And you ask anybody, they'll tell you, any coach will tell you Bill Self's the best coach in the country. And obviously Kansas is doing just fine. But I don't think you can look at it and say anybody is, I don't want to say worth more, because I'm not sure that that's true, but from I'll say that. I'm happy to be the one to say that. Because I think I might go Mark Few in that kind of situation. But from a importance of the program and what that coach means to that program and where the program is, all of that together, I'm not sure. I don't think you have a better combination.
Yeah, the combination of recruiting, NCAA tournament success, even when they don't go deep, and adding another national title, right? Because Calipari can recruit better than anybody, but the success deep in March hasn't been there super recently.
And winning a high major conference almost every season.
Right. 100%. So I think you're right. I think the timing is not an accident. After the consequences that they didn't get after investigations into the program, I don't think that's an accident. But when you look at Kansas on paper, it's hard to argue with what Bill Self has done in Lawrence over the last 15 years or so.
And you also just had 3 names in the last couple of years that maybe you would put in that conversation, in Roy Williams, Mike Krzyzewski, and Jay Wright leave. Yep. So you're getting slim on people that have Bill Self's resume.
Yep. That's absolutely right. Josh, anything else for this edition of the Under 8?
Happy to be back. Had some Wi-Fi hotel issues yesterday, so glad we got it to work today.
We're having a much better night than teams like DePaul and Vanderbilt are having. The epitome of brutality for those programs on this particular night. That is going to do it for the Under 8 podcast for Tuesday, November 7th. It is 11:40 8:43 p.m. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to your shows and follow the Under 8 Pod on Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you tomorrow.